Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm back with another crafting video, since you guys have said you are interested in these. This was actually a project I completed more than a year ago. It is a name door plate for a friend of mine's little boy, and I am showing you guys here the process from start to finish. This was quite the undertaking. So first off, I had to draw the images in Illustrator and have them signed off by her. She wanted a space theme. Oh, and there's Boo, my old kitty that passed away. No. Anyway, so she had to then sign off on the images to make sure that it was what she wanted and that the font style was what she wanted. Then I printed them out on large A3 sheets so that I could make the templates to saw them out of wood, because these were actually cut out of wood and hand painted by me. My husband did the sawing, which you guys will see a bit later, but this cutting was actually quite tedious. This is just regular copy paper that these are printed on. It was basically just, like I said, to make a template for my husband to follow and also one for me to follow with painting, which I will show you the process of as we go along. Now when I mentioned tedious, this is what I meant. So I had to go in with an X-Acto knife and cut out all these small little bits out of this thing to try and get that inner part out, because you will see later on why I had to do this. Basically what I wanted to do was paint a galaxy scene behind this. So this is a multi-layered door plate, so it's kind of 3D style. It looks really cute. I made one for my son that has dinosaurs on it, and it came out so cute, and I showed my friend and she thought it was adorable, so I decided to make her one for her son. I have yet to mail this out to her, even though it's been more than a year. I am so sorry, Denise. I promise you it is coming. But yeah, I was very proud how this one came out, and we were actually thinking of making these as custom orders for people, but it is so labor intensive. The price would have to be quite high for these, and it takes a lot of time. I mean, I have time on my hands now for these, but I'm not sure how many people would actually want something like this, because, I don't know, like I said, it is very labor intensive, which means it's very pricey. And once again, you're going to see lots of Boo in my videos because he was always on the desk. Whatever I was doing, he was a big mama's boy. So you'll be seeing lots of shots of him along the way. And I was doing this for quite a long time. So I think in total this took us a couple of months to finish, because I had to do all this cutting and then the template tracing for my husband, which you will see in a bit, and then he had to do sawing when he was off work, so it was quite a labor of love. But here you can see that the inside has now been cut out, and so then I had to go ahead and cut the outside. So here we are at the part where my husband had to do the sawing. So first he had to glue it down onto the wood and trace around it, and then he had to drill these little mini holes so he could get down into those itty bitty bits there in the middle, which was quite the struggle. And he also had to later go in with a hand saw just to get the finer bits that were in there. I learned a lot in this process, like what kind of corners not to make, and to kind of simplify the artwork so that the sawing process wouldn't be this difficult, because we do not have one of those big fancy automated cutters. My husband had to do everything by hand for both my sons and for this one. So it was quite a lot of work, and that's why this took as long as it did. As you can see here, he had to go around all these tiny little bits, and this was just for the front part of the plate. The back part was a lot simpler because it's just the shape of the M, thank goodness. But yeah, this one took the longest, and that's why he kind of started with it, because he knew it was going to be the biggest struggle. And if we needed to reprint another template, if he made a mistake, we had to be prepared for that. So here he is, just sawing away. So this is what the front part looks finished, and there you can see all the holes that have been cut out. Then he had to move on and do the back end, which was going to have the Galaxy painted onto it and also be the part that is used to mount on the actual door. So here it is finished and cut out, and this is the part where I move on and make the stencils. So I had to print out another one of these on A3, and then I had to basically stencil out the parts here that I needed to paint for the Galaxy parts. So I knew where to put the majority of the details and not to paint over that. Right now I'm busy painting the back side, which goes against the door. So my friend has a gray theme with a like darker blue theme going on. So I tried to color match as best as possible, and here it is with the finished first coat. And then I was doing the front plates base coat here in white so that the colors will really pop when I go in with my acrylic paint. So now I had to move on and make the stencils for the front part, which I used tracing paper for this, and I went over all of the little details that I had drawn, like the rocket, the planet, little spaceman, and Earth, and all that stuff, so that I had that ready. And then I put some colored pencil on the back of these ones, as you can see here, so that they would stand out more on the white. I had one in pencil, but it kind of was very, very light, and it didn't show up very well. So that's when I switched over to the orange pencil, so that when I traced over the painted front plate, they showed up better, and that made it much easier to paint. It was a really good trick, so if you guys are thinking of doing something like this in future, that's just a handy trick. Rather use a colored pencil than just gray, because the pencil kind of tends to wipe off or comes out too light. As you can see here, it came out nice and bright, and versus the pencil, which I had to go over a few times. And here I started to paint the background color, which is the blue that I spoke about earlier. This took a couple of layers to get it right and to make sure it was dark enough that the white wasn't coming through before I moved on and then started to paint all the details in, which is of course the most fun part. And I used Posca pens for that, which gave me a lot more control than the brush would. But in some areas, oh, boo alert. In some areas I still had to use the brush, but as you can see here, like I said before, Boogie was in on everything and making sure, you know, quality control was being handled. It took a long time, but this was my favorite part. I love doing the finer details and starting to lay down the colors and see the thing actually come to life. This is the part that I live for. So this was the front part mostly done, still had to add some star details later, but now I was going to move on and do the middle section where the galaxy was going to be. So this is where you can see why I had to do those tracings in the middle and those little cutouts. So I'm only painting the parts where the black is because the rest has to be glued together, and the glue needs a good spot to be able to grip onto the wood so that it doesn't let go. And so here I was busy trying to do a galaxy effect, and it was quite an experimentation, but I'm fairly happy with how the end result came out. So let me know what you guys think when you see the finished product. From here on out, you guys can just sit back, relax, and enjoy, and see what it looks like when it's finished. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please let me know your comments down below, and I will see you next time for the next video. Thanks so much. Bye!